All right, well, give yourself a hand because you're all right where you're supposed to be. In fact, I'm missing a couple things. I had a client come right before class, so let me grab, in case anybody needs these. I have them available for you. And I have one other prop that is a must-have. Our friend Pace,
He's been to every
the turtle. So, show up available. What is it, and what does it really mean? I'll caveat it by kind of backtracking and telling you that there were times in my life, and there are still times, because this is a process of growth, where I knew or I felt that I wasn't getting what I really wanted in my relationship, in my career, different aspects. Things were just not occurring the way that I wanted them to. But I didn't have a clue why. And it finally dawned on me after a couple cosmic 2x4s hit me upside the head with my life experience, that the reason I was getting the results that I was getting is because I was showing up unavailable for what I wanted. So, I'm like, man, no wonder I had the experiences that I did in my relationships and in my career. It was for the sole reason that I was unavailable for creating the conditions for what I really wanted to happen. And the reason, what made me unavailable was my own thoughts, feelings, words, and actions that were not aligned with what I wanted. Okay? So I'm going to put thoughts, feelings, words, and actions out here. We are always driven by the way we think and by how we see things and through the lens by which we're looking. That determines how we're going to feel about something. It's going to determine, well, how we talk about it, and it's going to determine what type of actions we take that are relevant to it. In my military experience, I wanted to be a general officer. That was a dream that I had when I was a small child. And even when I went into the military, that was still my goal. What dawned on me eventually was that I had really no clue what being a general officer meant. How did a general officer think, feel, act, and speak? What kind of habits did he have? What kind of patterns? What kind of judgment? What kind of decision making? How did they solve problems? But that type of maturity never entered into my experience until a lot later on down the road. Now, I never became a general, okay, because certain things in my career didn't work out the way that it has to become a general officer. But I was able to start to realize, I realized that I had been unavailable for leadership, at least optimal leadership, and I was able to start to turn around how I showed up in my leadership position. And that had a huge influence on how I finished my military career and how I showed up as a leader. Now, the things that affect, again, the way we show up is our preconceived thoughts and then the relevant feelings, words, and actions we put around it. So, for example, even something as simple as this meeting. I know I've been into meetings where I was unavailable for what was happening in the meeting. Now, what made me unavailable? Oh, I really don't want to be here or need to be here or want to be here. In fact, I'm going to spend the next hour thinking that I'm somewhere else. Okay? Instant closed door, instant unavailability for either getting the information, sharing information, or collaborating with other people. Why? My thoughts were not there. Emotionally, I can say, I don't want to be in this meeting. I'm angry, frustrated, resentful. I don't like the people around me. That can make me unavailable for that meeting. Words. I hate this meeting. We shouldn't be having this meeting. You know, oh, the boss is always late to this meeting anyway. All right? So my words aren't aligned. And then my actions, of course, I might be checking my phone, I might be doodling on a piece of paper, completely disengaged. So that's a very simple explanation of being unavailable for a simple thing as a meeting. Now, let me change it around. If I show up available for a meeting, what do I first do? I shape my thoughts. Oh man, I intend to show up available for this meeting. So there's intent. Now, why do I want to even show up? Because I want to create conditions for results. Squeaky. Let me see if I can get another one. Okay. So I decide to show up available because I want to get specific results out of the meeting. Okay? And those results can be just about me, but they can be oriented towards the group. Okay? I don't want just to waste the hour because that would make me unavailable and that's a waste of time. So by starting to demonstrate an intent to be available, I start to create the conditions. That's the first step. The first step is I want to create the intent to be available. And why? Because I intend to create conditions for the results that I want to get as a result of this experience. And then the next step is where I go, how do I align TFWA? Oh, I missed this. First, I have to have a little clarity about what kind of results do I want. Okay? And then I go, okay, I need to align my thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. When? In the present moment. Then I'm ready to participate. I'm listening, I'm watching, I'm engaged, I'm taking notes, I'm observing, okay? And I'm attracting. It's the law of attraction. I'm attracting. We're magnets. I'm attracting the right information. I'm attracting insights and ideas. I'm attracting different relationships, improving relationships with people in the group. I'm attracting a collaborative atmosphere. I'm attracting a success. I'm creating conditions for a successful project, a successful action, accomplishment of a mission or a goal. And I'm doing that intentionally because I'm showing up available. Okay? What happens most of the time to us and most everybody else is we're unconscious. We're not aware. We're not paying that much attention. Oh, this is just another meeting. Oh, the same old dynamics of the past meetings will play out at this one. Oh, okay. We can count on that. So everybody rolls up in, grabs their cup of coffee and their bottle of water, and they sit down, and at the end of the meeting, nothing's changed. If a decision is made, it's not made completely. Everybody's not on board. People misunderstand their role in the decision. There's miscommunication. And so, whereas by creating this, you create the optimal results. This technique can be applied to any part of your life. When I looked at my relationships, and I looked at my first marriage and how that didn't go the way I thought it would, I'm like, what happened? What happened? And part of me wanted to go down the road, well, it's all her fault, right? She did this, she did that, she said this, she did that, she didn't do this, she didn't do that. But then I thought, I almost knew instantly, like, no, it's not about her. And I started to think, well, who is John? Wait a minute. How did John show up in the relationship? What thoughts and beliefs did I bring into the relationship? First off, about myself. Secondly, about women. Thirdly, about relationships. Fourthly, about sex. Fifthly, about parenting. Sixthly, about money. Okay? And I eventually have worked up to a list of about, and this is a book that I'm going to write someday, of 54 different areas for showing up available in a relationship. Respect, esteem, acceptance, love, intimacy, sex, affection, communication, parenting, family, socially, financially, career, household responsibilities, geographical aspects. I'm up to 15 already. Okay? And, personality, friends. So it just, the list kind of got broader and broader when I thought, well, wait a minute. How do I want to show up available in my next relationship? What kind of results do I want to get in my next relationship? Do I want the same results? And the answer was no, I do not want the same results. And so by getting clarity on who I was and what my preference is and how I wanted to show up around values. Values became the framework for how I wanted to show up. For example, the word respect. I want to show up available for respect in my next relationship. Well, first off, in order to do that, I have to respect myself. Okay? Secondly, how do I demonstrate respect towards the other person? Thirdly, how do we demonstrate respect in our communication and interactions? Okay? So just by landing out with that word respect, it becomes a way to shape and define what things and under what results, what it looks like, what it sounds like, and what it feels like. So, somebody give me one thing, either work-related or relationship-related, that you would want to have to create your experience in that.
Characteristic.
Yeah.
I think respect would be big.
Okay, great. I love the word respect because it's a powerful word and it has really broad application. But now, apply respect to a situation.
I think it's finding the respect for me, for work related, for the team that I lead, make sure I have the respect. They have respect for me and I respect for them, right? For what they know, what they can bring to the team.
Excellent. Perfect example. Now, take it deeper. How would that respect show up? How would it look, sound like, and feel like?
I would say it's earned, right? Based upon the actions. The way you might carry yourself, the way you respect yourself and your work. I think that would just transform to them respecting you and the work that you do.
Excellent. So what quality that's related to, let's say, work performance demonstrates respect? Pick another quality about job performance.
Fast decision making.
Okay, timely decision making, right? Okay. Boom. Looks like, sounds like, feels like timely decision making. Gentlemen, let me tell you, one thing we want to accomplish in this group is timely decision making. Why? Because by doing so, it demonstrates respect for ourselves, each other, our project, money, time, energy, resources, our customer. Okay? So, what's a timely decision? That might depend a lot,
Yeah,
but
it depends, right.
okay. Go ahead.
In any situation, I mean, if it's a 30-minute meeting, I think a timely decision would be anything less than 30 minutes.
Okay.
So,
Great.
Not leave that meeting without a decision.
Perfect.
Which happens a lot.
Gentlemen, let me tell you, timely decision, again, because we demonstrate respect, means at the end of the 30 minutes, we've reached a decision on this point. What does that do? What does taking that 30 seconds to express that do for the meeting?
Expectations. They know what their expectation is.
Right? Okay. Anything else? Is it respect? Go ahead.
Clarity.
Clarity. Guys, look, because I respect your time, I don't like to hold meetings just for the sake of holding meetings, guys. There might be other people that do that, but this is not how this organization is going to roll. So how do we alleviate that? We alleviate that by creating conditions for timely decision making, and we do that by because we demonstrate the value of respect.
Now that would be when you're the leader in that situation. If you're not the leader in that situation, then how would you apply that?
How would you apply it? Let's say your leader has no clue about this process. Right.
That challenge, they have, and it's interesting because he's used the word respect, and I say to him, well, respect is a two-way street.
Right.
And you're not demonstrating respect. You're not demonstrating, I told you I have to be somewhere at 7, and you're standing here keeping on talking to me.
Right.
So I'm leaving.
Yes.
And I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Tomorrow I may have to answer for it, but...
No, but this is thank you for sharing that, Meg,
Right.
because this is a really good example of how respect plays out. And people throw respect out like, they throw it out all the time. They have no idea in context what it means. Or they've never get any, again, intentional, conscious thought. What does respect mean? And you showed up demonstrating self-respect because you have your own boundary. Okay? Now, if you lacked empowerment, personal empowerment, you'd be sitting there right now. You'd still be there listening to him talk. Okay? And then you would be upset and frustrated at him for taking your time, but who's really responsible for that? You are. Absolutely. But see, some people don't get it. But when you draw your boundary and say, hey, I love this exchange of information. Regrettably, I have somewhere else I need to be. And so out of respect for you and the importance of this information, how about we get together tomorrow at 9 o'clock?
And that's what I said. And he kind of muttered something about me not respecting you.
Sure.
I said, bye.
No. But see, he might not get it. And guess what? He doesn't have to get it. But the more you practice it, again, not telling him you should respect me,
Right.
okay, because that's going to close him down and he's going to get defensive. If you just say, man, I respect you and I respect this information. I want to be more available for it. And I can't because it's time for me to go. You don't even have to give a reason. It's time for me to go. You have my undivided attention tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Let's get together.
He would probably respect that too. Maybe not right away, but when he starts to think about it.
Well, see, what happens is at a minimum by doing that, you increase the conditions for him to be open to it. See what I mean? You create the chances for him being open. At least the door is open. All you can do is open the door. You can't make people walk through it. And he may never get it. But here's what he's going to get. After trying to do that 2 or 3 times to you, guess who has to change? Guess who's going to change? He will. Because he knows that you'll honor your boundary and say, hey, got to go tomorrow morning. Right? That's the beauty of showing up available. It allows people the freedom to show up just as they are. Okay? But empowers you, it requires you. Showing up available requires radical responsibility for your own thoughts, feelings, words, and actions, and relieves anybody else of being responsible for it whatsoever. Okay? Because if you make him responsible for it, you're not going to get it. So, this little exercise you can replicate. And this is why respect now, instead of just being a word on a poster in an office, guys, because I respect you, 30 minutes, we want a decision. Let's bring everybody in, huddle up. What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? Everybody available for the meeting? Guys, if you're not available, take 2 seconds, check yourself, bring yourself right in. I value your presence. You're here on purpose. See what I'm saying? Changes the whole dynamic. Then people start to get it. Whoa. And some people will join right in. Other people will resist because it's like, man, I don't. And over time, either they'll get it and they'll join, or they'll go away. Just like a magnet, see, when you create that attraction, when you create that attractive energy, magnets attract, but it's going to repel too. So you're going to repel people. He's got to change if he wants to interact with you. So either he's going to change to start to show up and bring the same respect to the table. He's going to either unconsciously start to learn a lesson about respect, or he might one day and go, wow, it really is kind of disrespectful to hit her up at 5 o'clock at the end of the day. Okay? Okay, I'm going to change. All right? And you're going to attract a change in behavior in him. Or he's going to be so resistant and closed, you're going to repel. Okay? He's going to stop coming around.
Even better.
Those are the 2 results. You either come together or you repel. All right? But either way, the dynamic has to change because you changed. You know? And the dynamic of a meeting has to change when the leader sets a deliberate intention for the meeting and he shows up available. We've all seen leaders who show up unavailable for a meeting. Right? Oh, this was on my calendar. I guess I better go. All right, somebody's going to talk about something and I'm going to sit there, drink my coffee, ask a couple irrelevant questions, and then be done with it and attend the same meeting next week. And somebody's going to say something in the meeting, but I'm going to miss it. And so I'm going to have to follow up with 10 emails to get the information that was already talked about in the meeting that I missed because I was unavailable. Leaders, by virtue of a position, see, just because I was in a leadership position did not automatically give me insight into the value of showing up available as a leader on a consistent basis. But the good thing is this is learned behavior, it's learned skill. Hi, are you here?
How you doing? Yeah, I just came to jump in.
Oh, okay.
How are you?
You're welcome to stay if you like.
Oh, I'm gonna run a little bit.
All right. Okay. Good to see you. But when you intentionally change the tone, again, at least what showing up available does. It doesn't guarantee anything. Nothing's guaranteed. But what it does do is it opens the doors for things to happen. It opens the door for the optimal meeting. Otherwise, by showing up unavailable, the door's closed and you keep getting the same result that you get. But showing up available in a relationship with somebody close to you opens the doors for the relationship to change and shift. As long as we remain unavailable, what happens? The doors are closed. No movement can take place. Or the movement that does take place is the same old tired movement that's always been taking place. And nobody's getting any value. You're getting limited value. You might get you'll get some value sometimes by being unavailable. Okay? People show up unavailable for their whole life and they still run a successful business, they eat well, they live in a nice house, they drive a nice car. Okay? But this can change your experience to such a deeper level that the more you can practice it, the more optimal your experience, the deeper your experience, the more valuable your experience. So again, this requires setting an intention, first wanting something to be different than the way it is. When I go to a meeting, I go to a meeting and this is my experience. Am I happy with that experience? Is that the experience that I want? Am I taking full responsibility for that experience? Okay. If that's not what I want, what do I want? What would it look like, feel like, sound like if this was the relationship of my dreams? What would this conversation, how would this conversation with this significant other go? If I could wave a magic wand, what would it look like, feel like, and sound like for both of us? What kind of information would get exchanged? How would the exchange go? How would we both feel at the end? Would respect, love, clear communication, esteem, acceptance, allowance, forgiveness be present in the communication? But you don't get that tone, you don't get those tones, you don't get those elements without deliberately thinking, I intend to create this communication today. I intend to create this meeting with a client today. I intend to create this meeting today intentionally. And then you can get really clear about what you intentionally create. And the potential for that creating it blows up exponentially. Does anybody have any questions? I mean, this is the basics of showing up available. Any questions about this? Go ahead.
So you wanting to show up available and be open to, you can script about it, you can pray about it, you can show someone respect, but they are still wanting to be blocked off. They still don't want anything to do with you, and you don't know why. There's really no basis except the fact that maybe they just want to do something different, or they want to just focus on them. Do you just accept it? Do you just allow it, even though you are, you're saying that you want, you're saying thoughts. I'm creating all these positive thoughts about what we could have, and the feeling, like you want to feel good and feel happy and feel complete, blah, blah, blah. But they're just not having it. So what do? You just let it go? Do you just let them?
What choice do you really have?
Choices out there.
Can you change them?
No.
Okay. Can you control them? Do you even really have 100% accuracy of what their thoughts and feelings really are, what their story and beliefs are? Even if they tell you, do you really know for sure that they understand it and that it's accurate? The whole thing that this approach does is it takes you out of this space to want to space. If I know that somebody that I want to create conditions for respect, love, peace, kindness, and somebody else doesn't want it, I've got to let them go. I've got to release them from that expectation. If I'm going to continue the relationship with them, I have to release them. Okay? Or I have to draw my boundary and say, hey, no thanks. This is not, our differences are too significant and the energy is too significant that we're very limited in what we can create. Because we're not in agreement. We're not aligned. We don't share the same values or the same beliefs or the same thoughts. So, again, out of respect for you, I release and allow you to be just who you are. You don't have to change. This relationship doesn't have to work out. Okay? But I'm willing to show up to create conditions because I want it to work out. But the only way it can work is if each person, by their own free will, agrees to align. And the biggest thing we do is we put that expectation and responsibility on people to say, no, you have to show up. We have to be in agreement. You have to agree. You have to love me. You can't leave me, you have to love me. You can't disagree with me, you have to agree with me. And who wants... I don't want to play in that kind of relationship. I don't want to ever compel. I don't want Gina to feel compelled that she has to stay with me. Who wants that kind of relationship? You know, I want the relationship. I want the meeting to go well. See, there's another thing. What if despite all my best intentions, everybody else shows up to sabotage the meeting because they're all unavailable? Okay? Depending on how much power and authority I have as a leader, there's some luxuries there's some things I might be able to do. But let's say I'm just a participant at the meeting, and the leader and everybody else is unavailable, and I would love to demonstrate respect and reach a timely decision, but nobody else does. I've got to release them from the expectation of being different. Instead, my focus becomes, wait a minute, who am I? What am I showing up available for? Am I deliberately setting my intention? Okay? Am I open or closed? Am I demonstrating respect? Can I chime in? Hey team, it really helps us demonstrate respect for us by reaching a decision at the end of this meeting. Is everybody on board? Is that really the intent of the meeting? How can we all work together to make that happen? As a participant in the meeting, I might be able to always chime in with that. Now again, if it gets shot down, it gets shot down. I might not have any other choice. Except my choice is to continue to work there or not. Right? Maybe it's not a fit for me. Okay? Oh, I don't have to work. Nobody's holding our gun to our head forcing us to work where we work. We wake up every day choosing to go to where we go to work. Okay? So, do we have to show up or do we want to show up? Does the relationship have to work out? What's the worst case scenario if the relationship ends or changes significantly? Right. Now that's sad. There's a grieving process we might go through for that. We might generally miss them. Can you still love somebody even if they're not in your life? Sure. You just love them different. Hey Marie, come around the other side.
Oh, okay, I'm new.
Marie. But see, this is where you relook the relationship, and hey, good to see you.
Good to see you.
This gives you an opportunity to look at the relationship and go differently. I left my glasses in my other office. I put my glasses on because I decided to look at it differently. How can I look at this relationship differently if we're not together? Or if somebody doesn't want to participate with me in a relationship? Can I love them? Do I have to love them the same way? Can I love them differently? And what's the likelihood of this being temporary? Is it temporary or permanent? Will they never come back? How do I want to create the conditions that if they do come back, they come back still to an empowered, self-respecting, self-loving person and not somebody who's given their power away and being manipulated or codependent? That goes to what you want to create. You say, I intend to show up available for respect, responsibility, accountability, clear communication, love, compassion, interest, energy, commitment, whatever the values are that you want to bring to the table. I want to see if this person wants to show up available for the same thing. The question is do they have to, or do I want them to? If they have to, then that's an opportunity for me to look at how I'm looking at the relationship. Wait, do I want to create conditions for them to want to? Yeah. And that's really all you can do, because people are going to decide for themselves. And it's disrespectful to beg somebody to be in a relationship with us. It's disrespectful to them. Because I respect you, I get it. I understand we have some differences, and because I respect those differences, I'm going to allow this relationship to change. And I'm going to honor your path, and I'm going to honor my path. And for right now, we're going in two different directions. If there comes an opportunity, I'm open to wanting to look at the relationship again to see if we have common ground, but we don't have to. Either way, thank you for teaching me what I've learned from you, and I bless you in your path. And that's really about all you can do. And that works with a lover, a parent, a child, a coworker, a sibling. Not everybody's going to be in agreement. And so if we're attached to their agreement, that's on us. It's not on them. That's why I like to use my scissors. Sometimes it requires some work for us to look at our attachments and go, every time they tell me to dance, I'm dancing. Every time they start to act out, I'm playing in their sandbox every single time. Is that about them or is that about me? I need to kind of snip that attachment. I need to cut that cord. I need to regain my power. You know? And need to cut. And then create a new one. Just because you cut one doesn't mean it has to be cut forever, but you can cut the old one that doesn't serve and say, hey, you know what? I'm taking responsibility for how I showed up in the relationship, and I have not been showing up with respect, either self-respect for me or respect for you. So I'm going to cut the old cord of disrespect, and I'm going to show up first demonstrating respect for myself and demonstrating respect for you by being fully upfront and honest about who I am, what I want, what my preferences are, what are my values, and then seeing if we're a fit for each other. And if we are, great. If we're not, that's okay too. Is that helpful? I mean, it can still be sad. It doesn't mean you're not going to feel sad. It doesn't mean you're not going to miss somebody and go through that impact. We wouldn't be human beings if we weren't vulnerable. But see, the illusion is that we think we're safe when we're not vulnerable. When we're disrespectful to ourselves, we think that we're safe because we're allowing somebody else to manipulate us. And that's the illusion. We're not safe at all. Sure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Which I have my answer for it again. But why would you want to show up available? Why would you want to do any of this? How would this?
Good question. Why
do it?
Why do it?
Yeah. You're asking me.
Yeah. Why would you want to do it?
Why would I want to do it?
What's attractive to it, or what's unattractive to it?
Well, what's attractive to it is I have one life and I want to live it fully.
Yes.
Every day.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know if that's necessarily why people would want to show up available. That's why I want to show up available.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and like I said, hey, 99% of the world's population, including us most of the time, are going to survive just doing what we do. Right? And we'll have an okay experience. Right? So far, I mean, all of us in here, we're doing okay. We walked in here healthy. We probably had dinner, right? We're going to go home and lay down on a bed and, you know, we're doing okay. the whole question is see, here's the thing. The universe, God, whatever you want to call it, whatever works for you and your spiritual path, keeps saying, what do you want? And then the second question, I think, that the universe is asking, are you available for it? You keep wishing you had this job, or you were out doing this. This has been in the back of your mind for the last 10 years. But every day you wake up and you hate yourself, you're angry at yourself because you're going to the same old job that you've always gone to. Okay? So the universe is saying, well, what do you want? See, the universe recognizes that what you're doing is what you want. That how we're thinking is how we want to think. How we're speaking and feeling is how we want to feel or speak. Because that's the truth. If we didn't want to do it, we would find the energy and the emotion and the passion to do something else. That's another thing about the law of attraction. The universe always gives us exactly what we want. Even if we keep talking about how we don't want it. Sometimes we're so focused on what we don't want. I don't want you to leave me. I don't want this relationship to end. I don't want this meeting to go bad. I don't want to walk out of here without a decision on this project. Okay, well, guess what we get? We get what we don't want. Instead, the focus becomes, what do you want? Guys, I want a productive meeting. I respect your time. Not I don't want to waste your time. See, what is that focused on? Wasting time. Guys, I respect your attendance at this meeting. I respect your expertise and your insight. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I'm showing up available to reach a decision here. Is everybody else on board with me? All right. See, I didn't say what I don't want there. I don't want you on your phones. I don't want you, none of that don't want. Guys, I want 100% availability. And so the reason why we want that is because the universe is saying, what do you want? And we're taking responsibility and we're looking at it. Where's my tape measure? Oh, here's my glasses right here. The way we look at it changes everything. All right? And so here we are. I'm measuring. You're measuring a relationship right now. You're measuring a relationship and you're going, what do I want out of the relationship? Where's the relationship at now? What do I want it? What do I want out of the relationship? And what's the difference in between? What's missing? What's the gap? Okay? You're doing the same thing with your team. What's going on now? Where do we want to be, need to be? And what's the gap? Where are we coming up short? Okay? And the opportunity is right there, measuring that gap, going, I need to start to get really clear on what I want and why I want it. That's here. Why do I want it? Because I prefer respect. Because I prefer clear communication. Because I value it. Guys, because I value your time and your skills, I'm set up to make a decision here at the end of the 30 minutes. Let's see what we got. Okay, again, I'm talking obsessively only about what I want and the conditions that I want to set up. So when you go to your relationship, it's like, I love you. I want you to be in my life. I want to have this kind of relationship with you. Okay? I'm available for it, or I'm willing to learn how to show up. A lot about this is about skills. We might not know how to think different thoughts. We might not know how. We've had a certain feeling of resentment or anger or frustration or limitation around something for such a long time that feeling is habit. That's our story. That's the story we tell our friends. Oh, I could never do this because of this. Okay? It takes an emotional skill set to change how you feel about something. Words. It's a skill to learn different words to say, so that I'm not always talking about what I don't want. We are very good at talking about what we don't want. How good are we in clearly stating, well, what do you want? What is it? And be specific. Don't just tell me you want to demonstrate respect. That's meaningless. What does respect feel like and sound like in this context? And why is it important? And how can we practice it? And let's start practicing it right now and see how it works. But we're measuring, we're assessing all the time where we are now and what we want in the future. Now, problem we run into is we start to judge where we are now. The turtle starts to go, why am I here? Okay? Why am I here? And shouldn't I be somewhere else? That's a useless point. Shouldn't I be somewhere else? Why aren't I somewhere else? Because you aren't. Because the thoughts, feelings, words, and actions, the culmination of every thought, word, feeling, and action that you've taken since the day of you been born is put you right where you are right now, right here in these seats. Okay? If you weren't supposed to be here tonight, you would not be here. If you weren't supposed to be in the job that you are in, you would not be in it. Okay? But you're in it because that's been the path of your life. But we start to judge the past and say, no, I should have made a left instead of a right. All right? I should have gone 30 miles an hour instead of 15 miles an hour. I should have had different parents. I should have grown up in a different state. I should have grown up in a different culture or with different money or a different job or a different boyfriend or girlfriend or ex or different kids. I mean, anything could be different. But when we're judging the past over something we have absolutely no control over, that we can't change a single bit of it, it's useless energy. It does nothing to move us forward. It does nothing to solve this gap because it's way back here. But it's still driving us. We're allowing it. We're giving the past the power to drive how we show up today, whether we show up available or unavailable for something. Oh, I could never be available for that. I've never been able to be available for that. In fact, I remember the one time I tried to make myself available for that, this happened and I failed. So I must not supposed to be able to get it. Love has always eluded me. I'm just not supposed to have a relationship, so we don't. And we use that as a story as to why we don't now. And so when you're looking at that measurement, this is where clarity and self-trust, radical self-trust is important. Because the first thing that we're going to think is we can't trust ourselves because of what happened when I made a left instead of made a right. I should have made a left, and because I didn't make a left, I can't trust the decisions. Well, because I went out with a certain person, or I was in a marriage for a certain period of time, a relationship for a certain period of time, and it went the way it did, it went terribly. I can't trust. I made a poor decision. I can't trust my decisions. So losing self-trust is a big factor in how we make decisions today. The single most important aspect of making a decision is your trust in yourself and your thinking and your ability to make a choice. And so that's something to pay attention to. And it also goes to the aspect of this plays out under the umbrella of this. An abundance mindset. And what I mean by that is, if I go in, have to is lack. This relationship has to work out. Why? Because if it doesn't, I'll never have another boyfriend or girlfriend, or I'll never have another relationship, or I'll never feel loved, or whatever. That's scarcity minded. Okay? The want to says, oh, there's all sorts of love out there. I want to have experience with this love. But I don't have to, because there's so much other love out there for me. It's okay at a deeper level if this doesn't work out the way we want to. In fact, I'm practicing radical trust that this is not the only chance for love to happen. This is not the only chance for job to happen. This is not the only chance for money to come in. It's not my single source of money is this job, and if I ever lose this job, I'll be destitute. That's scarcity minded, and that closes doors. that thought makes us unavailable. Being abundance-minded is what throws up all the doors that says, I can show up available. I can show up available to solve this problem. Why? Because I believe that there are solutions to this problem. Okay? And hence all the doors open up. Any other questions or thoughts? Marie?
I'm just feeling so wrong on timing. Sorry for the interruption.
No. The application of this, though, can go to everything. Every aspect of work, every aspect of relationships, every aspect about money and finances, every aspect of entertainment. Every fitness. Obviously, I'm not available for going to the gym. So if I did, I'd be, And so when it comes down to, John, why aren't you going to the gym? In my mind, I'm just not available for going to the gym. Something in my thoughts, feelings, words, and actions, right, is creating my results. But who's responsible for that? I am. So when I go, I really want to be available for fitness, I go, well, what does availability for fitness look like, feel like, and sound like? Well, it means at 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever, I'm out of bed and I'm at the gym. But see, the reason I'm not is because I'm unavailable for it. To date. Doesn't mean I have to be unavailable, but I probably will be.
John, talk about, so how do you trigger these things, right? So on a daily basis, or it's good, we'll remember this tonight, but a week from now.
It takes practice.
Yeah.
It really does, and this is a discipline, and that's why I say it's a learned practice. It is learnable. And self-awareness is the first place that requires practice, is paying attention to your thoughts. Paying attention to your energy, paying attention to your feelings and your words. And sometimes the biggest thing to pay attention to is we always think about in words. We think nothing, we don't think any thought. I mean, we might have images, but the images that we see put words into our head. Oh, there's an ice cream shop. Oh, and then I think in words, go get ice cream, right? And then I either decide to go get it or I don't. But whatever, I'm thinking in words. So if I'm paying attention to those words, I go, yeah, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to, no, not to see if I was on a strict diet and like I was lactose intolerant or whatever. I would hear those words, go get an ice cream, but then I'd pause in the moment of self-awareness or mindfulness or even critical thought. Critical thinking is another word for, I would call critical thinking mindful reasoning. Okay, it's paying attention to the way you think and the way you reason. That's why I say it's an opportunity to look at the relation. How am I thinking about this relationship? What are my beliefs around myself and the other person and around relationships in general? What should they be? What should the dynamic be? But in the absence of asking those kind of questions and paying attention to the thought when it first comes up, in the absence of that, I'm going to remain unconscious. Because that's who we are as human beings. We're just naturally habitual, reactive, unconscious. And again, we can still survive and be unconscious all day long. Okay? And still make reasonable choices and decisions about. So it takes paying attention, starting to pay attention to what are my thoughts right now? What am I thinking? Is this a thought that I want? How does this thought make me feel? What results does this thought produce? Is this thought even real or true? Or is it an illusion?
So aligning TFWA, are there things that are dependent on others, or your feelings depend on thoughts, words, actions, or vice versa? Or are those things independent?
Well, they are. And because they are to a certain degree, okay. I mean, the line is fuzzy. The human mind and how we work is a lot of blurred lines. But the whole thing with this is, and this personal empowerment for me, when I feel personally empowered within myself, my thoughts, feelings, words, and actions are consistent to that thing. Okay? I just used the example of me in the gym. Well, I think one way, I feel another, I speak another, I act in a completely other one. See what I'm saying? So when these three TFWAs are out of alignment and inconsistent, I'm all over the map. Some days I might go to the gym, some days I don't. I might not go to the gym at all, but I can be thinking all day, gee, wouldn't it be nice if? Okay? I could even keep telling the story or making up excuses of why I don't go to the gym. See, my words are not aligned with the thought and the idea of being in the gym. So they exist independently in that I can correct any of them at any one time, independent of the other, except for nothing happens without that. Okay? I can feel lazy, but if I have the thought of going to the gym, I can actually go to the gym. Okay? And put these things more in alignment when I get to the gym or while I'm driving there. Does that make sense? Okay? But everything starts here, because the undercurrent of that is what thoughts do is thoughts create these. And it's those that drive us really at a deeper level. A belief is just a practice thought. If you practice a thought long enough, it becomes a belief. And the stronger the belief is, the more I'm going to align my feelings, words, or actions with that belief. And it doesn't even have to be true. Okay? But that's where the first place to go is what am I thinking? How am I thinking about this situation? How am I looking at it? How am I looking at the relationship? How am I looking at myself? How am I looking at the other person? How am I looking at the relationship in general? How do I look at other relationships? Oh, isn't it interesting that I've looked at this other relationship in a similar way? That's interesting. Okay? Now, in order to do this exercise, you've got to be willing to suspend judgment. Because what happens is we start to have certain thoughts and certain feelings come up, and then we start to feel guilty, shame, failure, lack, okay, unworthy, undeserving, bad choice. That was wrong for me if turned left instead of right. Really? What if turning left instead of right was actually the best thing that could have ever happened to you? But how often do we look at failure through that lens? How would it change our experience if we did? Would we be more available or less available for love if I looked at a past relationship and instead of still grieving over it, thinking that I'm still supposed to be with that person or that was the wrong person to be with and I don't ever want to be in a relationship again, instead if I looked at it differently and said, wow, man, yep, that relationship was painful. I wonder why. Oh, it's because I learned a lot. Oh, man. Well, I learned a lot of valuable things. What if that relationship really was the best thing that could have ever happened to me? What if this person certainly wasn't intentionally trying to blow up my world? They just showed up as they showed up. Because that's how they roll. What a valuable teacher this person then is for me. Oh, well, I can feel gratitude for a teacher. See? And so the pain, this is how we heal the past. The pain, in the pain is the gift, is the lesson. And in the lesson is a gift of value. And when we can see the gift of value in the pain, we can start, the pain starts to heal. We start to come out because we're seeing it in a different way. Healing becomes possible. Movement becomes possible. We start to show up more available. Our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions change. Then when we go into the next relationship, we go, I remember the value of respect, and that relationship really taught me the value of self-respect first. Oh, well, I intend to show up available in my next relationship, bringing more self-respect to the table, and likewise respect for the other person. So that's how that transformation can take place. But it takes place by first paying attention. So when you leave here tonight, if you don't do anything else except, remember, show up available, I just want you to practice paying attention to your thoughts and beliefs and getting real curious about it. And go, why do I have that belief? Why do I have that thought? What is the basis of that thought or belief? Does it make me feel good? Is it even valid? Is it even true? What if the complete opposite is true of what I think? Could it be true? What if it is? How would that change? Would I feel better or would I feel worse? And then you start to play in that. And then you go, okay, what do I want? And then am I available for it? And then once I get clarity on what I want, I can go, I want to be more available for it. So what can I practice? What new thoughts can I practice tonight? What new beliefs can I start? What new feelings can I be open to experiencing? What new words can I speak? What new actions can I take? And then it's that process. It becomes that process. And that's why the technique of scripting is a valuable technique that I like to talk about. Scripting. Is anybody a scripter or know what scripting is? Regine, what would you say scripting is in your own word? Leslie, what would you say?
Scripting is basically writing what you want, writing that you already have it.
Yes.
In detail, and also showing gratitude.
Yes.
For everything that you do have.
Thank you. Leslie nailed it. Scripting is writing as if you already have what you want. And it's a affirmative exercise. And you can script about work, relationships, money, health, and personal growth. And so, for example, you go out and you get yourself a nice journal, and you open it up, and I write a dedication on the first page. And so this dedication basically said, I dedicate this scripting journal to manifesting the dreams of my life, for the blessing of my life and my highest good, and for the blessing and highest good of people I love and care about. And then I sign my name. And then when you start to script, I use it as a practice. I put the date up and then I say, Dear God. That's just me. You don't have to do that. You can develop any style you want. It works for me. And then I start to script. And gratitude is one of the first things that I always script, because that puts me in an open state. It puts me in an appreciation state. It puts me in an abundance mindset from the beginning, because scripting is about abundance. It's not about lack. So I can be grateful for anything. It just kind of sets that tone. And then I'll start to script about things that I want. So for example, if I know I'm going to have an important meeting that day, I can script about the meeting. So the way I would script about the meeting, again, is focused exactly and obsessively about what I want. So I'm not going to say I don't want the meeting to go this way and I don't want. I'm going to script, today's meeting goes perfectly. It's a powerful, effective, and efficient meeting. I intend to show up available for sound leadership, sound judgment, clear communication, and decisive mind. I am clear, articulate, and brilliant when I present my ideas to the group. I am open to receiving input from everybody else in the room. I demonstrate respect for each person in the room, and they feel that respect from me personally. I demonstrate it with my words, my actions, my gestures, my eye contact. I am open to everybody else showing up for the meeting, available to accomplish a timely decision on this project. We are divinely led right now to the optimal solutions, questions, issues, resources, timing, all of the elements that we're trying to put together for this project are coming together in divine time and order. I intend to create conditions for those elements to exist at this meeting. It's already done. God's working behind the scenes already. The perfect people show up. Okay? So, after writing that way for the meeting, how is that going to impact how I'm thinking, feeling, speaking, and acting for the meeting that day? Huh? Very positive, very affirmative, abundance mindset, intentional, right? Now, can I control how everybody else shows up at that meeting? No. But what have I done by going through this exercise? I've created conditions for an effective meeting. Right? Now, one thing about scripting is I release attachment to a specific outcome. See? So I go in with radical trust. The meeting doesn't have to go exactly the way I want it to, but I want it to. Okay? But if it doesn't, how do I still intend to show up? Respectful, peaceful, decisive, leader. I mean, the meeting might go to hell. Okay? That's okay too. Because I've been clear about who I am and how I'm showing up and the qualities that I'm bringing into my leadership. In fact, the reason I'm a leader is because I can handle things when they go to hell. Okay? And I wanted to start to train guys. This is an example of a meeting that's gone to hell. You know why? Okay? So because I value clear communication, I want everybody to know that. It's not personal at all. We've all contributed to it. I think we can do better. Let's convene again this afternoon. Bring your best selves, and we'll tackle this thing again. Okay? So you can speak with much more authority. You can speak with much more respect. And I've been in situations where, in the military, where I thought it was optimal to choose somebody's ass. Okay? And that's a lot of military culture. Sometimes it's very efficient and effective. But the more mature you get in leadership and the more mature the leaders are that you're in the room, that doesn't just work. Generals don't go in and talk to other generals chewing another general's ass. Okay, that just doesn't happen. Excuse my French. Okay? And so I learned an important lesson when I used that technique, and then the instant I stopped, I knew immediately, wrong technique. Showing up unavailable. Okay? And I made a commitment to myself after that experience that I would never use that technique again with this particular group of my team. Because I didn't need to. It was disrespectful to them to do that. It was disrespectful to myself in my role as a leader to do it. Okay? So that was an important lesson for me about showing up unavailable for leadership. Right? I was unavailable when I was in that mode. I was more available going forward, and I created a deeper trust level of the team and more effective and efficient collaboration and information sharing in the team by showing up available for leadership instead of unavailable for leadership in that way. But by scripting, you can script about what you want to create at work. You can script about the relationship. You can script about how you want to show up. Who am I in this situation with this person? What values are important to me? What values do I want to demonstrate no matter how this relationship goes? Okay? Who is Leslie in this situation? I had a client recently that I met with, and the same issue came up. I said, look, who you are in any given situation is greater than what's happening. It's like who you are in this divorce situation is more important than the divorce that is happening. Because you get to choose how you're showing up in it. And what type of man, what type of father do you want to be? How do you want this experience to go for you? And you get to choose. That's the grand the grand element is choice. Every day we wake up with the choice of who we want to be, how we want to show up. Most of the time, though, we haven't spent any work on identifying specific values to use as a key daily reminder. Oh, today I intend to demonstrate respect for myself. Oh, what does that look like, feel like, and sound like? It means telling the person I've got to go. Okay. So I encourage scripting as a technique because it gets you clear. By using it as an exercise to describe what you want, you start to get really clear and good at defining what things look like, sound like, and feel like for you. Okay? It actually changes the language and the words in your head. Where you've been focused on what you don't want and telling people what you don't want, by scripting you start to become more clear and empowered on what you want. It clarifies your preferences. Oh, I don't want that. I want this. Well, I'm not going to be available for that. Oh, I want to be available for this. So then you start to tell people, hey, I'm not available for that. You know? Or you say, hey, you know what? I appreciate the invitation, but I'm available for something else at that particular time. You know, so it changes the way we speak. It changes the way we think. And it creates conditions for more doors to be open. This technique will change your life. I know it. Thinking in these terms and using scripting as one of your tools to get clear and to change it where our minds are wired because of our own life experience. And some of that wiring works just great. But what scripting does and what's getting clear and showing up available starts to do, it rewires where we're not effective, where we're inefficient. But it takes some time and practice. Got to unplug the wire from over here. First you got to find the wire. Oh man, I got this wire plugged in here and this does not serve me. This thought, this feeling, this emotion, this perspective does not serve me, and it's never served me. And I'm reminded every time that it doesn't serve me, but I still stay plugged into it. What happens when I unplug from it? Oh, what else do I want to plug into? I might not even be clear yet on where I want to plug in the wire. That's okay. By practicing radical trust is saying, I'm going to unplug from this. I'm not yet clear what to plug into. All I know is that I trust that it's out there, and when I find it, the connection's going to be solid. But the first thing to do is I got to cut from the old belief, and I got to get rid of the old belief to make space for a new belief. And so it requires radical trust and radical responsibility. This is not anybody else's work except our individual work. The good thing is as we do it, as we operate in this mode, it opens doors for all sorts of amazing things to happen. Things we haven't even thought about. New relationships, new work, new meetings, new energy, new money, new results. And things that we didn't think were possible would become possible. Does anybody have any final questions or thoughts before we close? I just want to tell each and every one of you that you are a powerful creator. That you have dominion over all things. That you can change, literally, your life and your relationships with others in work, love, family, whatever, by practicing this principle of showing up available. And the instant you do, you'll start to get it. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Go out and create. Appreciate it.